My sister is moving in with her kids in my house. My husband smirked as the house was under his name. So I left the house with what I owned, and now I woke up with desperate calls and messages. I, Samantha, 32F, didn't found my happy home after marriage. Marriage isn't supposed to feel like walking on a tightrope, balancing expectations, silencing your voice, and pretending everything is fine when it's not. But that's exactly how I felt every time I stepped into my in-laws' house. The Thompson family had a way of making me feel invisible. From the very beginning, I noticed the subtle glances, the tight-lipped smiles, the forced pleasantries. My mother-in-law's polite but distant demeanour. My father-in-law's indifferent grunts, and Jacky's sharp, passive-aggressive remarks wrapped in sweetness like a dagger in a candy wrapper. I didn't want to make waves. I told myself it was just part of the deal, marrying into a family that didn't see me as one of their own. After all, we only had to see them once a week, right? That was manageable, but it wasn't. I adjusted. I smiled. I nodded. I kept my mouth shut when Jacky made snide comments about my cooking, or when my mother-in-law said, "Oh, you're wearing that." I didn't know that style was still popular. I swallowed the bitterness, telling myself that it was easier to stay quiet than to cause conflict. Mark, my husband, didn't seem to notice, or maybe he just didn't care. He was the golden boy, the one who could do no wrong in their eyes. I was just the wife, the other woman who'd taken his attention away, but I kept adjusting, convinced that maybe, just maybe, things would get better. The breaking point came on an ordinary Tuesday. Mark came home from work with that familiar excitement in his eyes, the kind he had when he got a promotion or an idea he thought was brilliant. "I've been thinking," he said, dropping his bag by the door like it was no big deal. "Jacky's been having a tough time. You know, being a single mom is hard. I think she should move in with us. The kids need stability." I froze. For a moment, I thought I misheard him. "What?" I whispered, my voice trembling with disbelief. "She's struggling. She needs help, Sam. It's not a big deal. It's our house, and I think we can handle it." Our house, the one I'd picked out the paint colors for, the one where I'd arranged the furniture, the one where I'd built a life, but apparently, it wasn't mine. I stared at him, my heart pounding in my chest. "No, Mark. I'm not okay with this. We've never even talked about it." He shrugged, as if that was the end of the conversation. "It's my house, Sam. I can do as I wish." And that's when it hit me. Mark didn't care, not about how I felt. Not about the years of silent sacrifices I'd made, giving up my own dreams to build a life with him, to create a home. He didn't see me as an equal. I was just the wife who kept the house warm and the fridge full. The words I wanted to say were stuck in my throat, but the anger was rising, hot and fierce. "This isn't just your house, Mark. It's our house. And I'm not just your wife, I'm your partner." But he didn't hear me. He was already lost in his own world, planning for Jacky's move-in like it was the most normal thing in the world. And that's when I knew I had to make a choice. I could keep pretending everything was fine, or I could take back my life. The morning after Mark's bombshell, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. I stared at the ceiling, the silence in the apartment louder than any argument we'd ever had. Mark's words echoed in my mind. "It's my house, Sam. I can do as I wish." But that wasn't the truth. It was never about the house, it was about control. For years, I'd been the invisible thread holding everything together, making sure the bills were paid, the meals were on the table, the house was clean, and the family was happy. But I was tired. I was tired of being invisible. Tired of pretending to be okay when I wasn't, tired of sacrificing my happiness for a man who didn't even notice. So, I made a decision. When Mark left for his job that morning, I didn't sit around, waiting for him to change his mind. I picked up my phone and called a moving truck. I didn't just pack up my clothes. I packed up everything, every piece of furniture I'd bought, every kitchen item I'd chosen, every little thing that reminded me I'd built this life, the couch I'd picked out after months of searching for the perfect one. The dining table where we'd shared countless dinners. The artwork I'd hung on the walls, pieces that reflected who I was. I left nothing behind, not even a note. I left. The first few hours after I left were strangely peaceful. no more forced smiles. No more passive-aggressive comments from Jacky. No more pretending everything was fine when it wasn't, just me, my new space, and the freedom to breathe. But peace has a way of being short-lived when people think they can just reclaim you. The calls started. At first, it was just Mark. His name flashed on my phone, and I stared at it, my heart racing. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. Sam, please. Where are you? We need to talk. You can't just leave with everything. You can't just leave like this. It's your house too. The kids are asking for you. They miss you. I didn't respond, but then the calls didn't stop. Sam, it's Mark. Pick up the phone. We're not done here. You're being selfish. We'll struggle without you. Then came Jacky's messages. Sam, I know you're hurt, but this isn't fair. The kids need you. Mark's falling apart. We're not the enemy. We just need you to be part of the family again. I didn't respond, because it wasn't my house anymore. It had never been. Next evening, there was a knock on my door. I opened it, and there they were, Mark and Jacky, standing there like they had every right to be. Mark's face was flushed with frustration, his eyes wild. Sam, we need to talk, he snapped, pushing past me into my apartment without waiting for an invitation. Jacky followed, her expression a mixture of guilt and anger. Sam, you can't just leave like that, Jacky said, her voice trembling slightly. You're being unreasonable. I closed the door, my heart pounding. I'm being unreasonable? I repeated, my voice steady, but the anger was simmering beneath the surface. You're the ones who thought I was just expendable. Mark paced the room, his fists clenched. You're being selfish. We're struggling without you. The kids are asking for you. You left us like we were nothing. I took a deep breath, standing my ground. No, Mark, I said, my voice firm. I didn't leave you like you were nothing. I left because you treated me like I was nothing. Jacky's eyes darted between us. You think we don't struggle? Do you know what it's like to manage everything without you? I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Manage what exactly, Jacky? The mess you created? The life you wanted without me? Mark's face turned red. You're not the only one who's been struggling, Sam. I've been holding everything together while you just walked away. I stepped closer, my anger boiling over. Mark, you didn't hold anything together. You just let it fall apart and expected me to clean up the mess. There was silence, the kind of silence that screams louder than words. Mark's eyes filled with frustration, but there was also something else, regret. Jacky looked down, her face flushed with guilt. I stared at them, feeling an odd mix of sadness and relief. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't the one apologizing. I wasn't the one begging for understanding. I was standing tall, refusing to be the invisible woman in my own life. Take your mess, Mark. Take your regrets. Take whatever you think you need. I walked them to the door, my heart pounding but my head held high. I'm not coming back. And I meant every word. The days blurred into weeks. Mark's attempts to contact me became more desperate. His calls turned into texts, and his texts into angry rants. You can't just walk away like this. We had a life together, Sam. Think about the kids. But I wasn't thinking about the kids, I was thinking about me. I had spent years drowning in a life I didn't recognize anymore, trying to keep everyone else happy while I slowly faded into the background. Mark's calls didn't bother me, not anymore. But then came the day when I received a letter in the mail. It was from Jacky. Sam, I don't know what to say. Mark's a mess. The kids are asking for you. We all miss you. Please, come back. We need you. I stared at the letter, a bitter taste rising in my throat. They miss me, the same people who never acknowledged my efforts, who dismissed my feelings, and who made me feel like I was invisible. I didn't respond. Instead, I wrote my own letter. One Mark would never forget. I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because I had to. You and Jacky can't have it both ways, demanding my presence when it's convenient and ignoring me when it's not. This isn't a negotiation. It's the end. I didn't sign it with love, I signed it with closure. the day I signed the divorce papers was the day I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. No more constant calls. No more passive-aggressive comments. No more pretending to be someone I wasn't. I was free. I moved into a small apartment that was all mine. The walls were bare, but I didn't mind. I painted them in colors that made me feel alive, bold, vibrant, unapologetically me. I didn't need anyone else to fill the space. I filled it with laughter, with friends who actually cared, with late-night conversations about dreams I'd long forgotten. For the first time in years, I woke up feeling excited instead of dreading the day ahead. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving, and as for Mark, he had never been the type to manage a household. He relied on me to keep everything in order, laundry folded, dishes washed, bills paid, and meals cooked. Without me, the house became a chaotic mess, dishes piled up in the sink, the smell of forgotten food lingering in the air. Laundry baskets overflowed with clothes no one bothered to wash. The once pristine floors were now covered in dust and crumbs, and the furniture? Well, there was hardly any left. Jacky, struggling with her own responsibilities as a single mom, didn't have the skills, or the desire, to step up. She was overwhelmed, juggling her kids, her job, and the mess they were living in. She'd always been the type to complain about how hard life was, but now, she was living the reality of it. One evening, Mark called me again, his voice tense, frustrated. "Sam, I don't know what to do. The house is falling apart. We don't have furniture, the kids are restless, and I'm drowning here." I didn't respond. She just stared at her phone, the silence louder than any words. Mark tried again. "We need you back. Let's try again. The house is a mess. I can't do this without you." But I didn't reply. I had moved on, found my peace, and left behind the chaos they'd created. Jacky, on the other hand, was struggling even more. She'd thought living with Mark would be easier. But it was anything but. She had no support, no help with the kids, and no one to manage the household. She'd call Mark in tears, complaining about the mess, the stress, the overwhelming feeling of failure, but Mark was too wrapped up in his own frustration to care. "You knew it wouldn't be easy," he'd say, his voice cold. "You wanted this." And that was the crux of it, neither of them had really wanted this. Now Mark was finally realizing the truth. He was sitting in the living room, staring at the empty walls, the faded remnants of the life we had built. The couch was threadbare, the TV was broken, and the kitchen was filled with unopened boxes and spoiled food. He looked around and realized this wasn't his house anymore, it was just a shell. Jacky came in, her face exhausted, her eyes filled with frustration. "Mark, this isn't working," she snapped. "I can't do this. I can't be the one holding everything together when you're not even trying." Mark's face twisted with anger. "What do you want me to do? Fix everything? I'm not the one who left." But Jacky just shook her head. "No. Mark. You didn't just leave. You let everything fall apart." And with that, she walked out. With that, Mark sat alone in the empty house, the silence deafening. The house wasn't a home anymore, it was just walls and furniture, devoid of warmth, love, or laughter, and he realized he'd lost everything. Not just me. Not just Jacky, but himself.